नमस्ते प्रणाम गीता ध्यानम ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudevasutam devam kansachanuramardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki. O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. And we continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 6th Adhyaya, the Dhyana Yoga, Yoga of Meditation. And today we will be reading the 36th Shloka, the 36th verse, in which Sri Krishna is further going to continue his teaching to Arjuna. In the 35th Shloka that we read yesterday, Sri Krishna Krishna was addressing Arjuna's doubt. Arjuna had raised doubt that, oh Lord Krishna, oh Madhusudana, oh Krishna. Twice he had addressed Sri Krishna, first as Madhusudana, saying in the 34th Shloka, that the 33rd Shloka, he had addressed Krishna as Madhusudana, saying that whatever this equanimity yoga, yoga of equanimity, yoga of looking Lord in everyone, of realizing the sameness of all the beings in this universe with that of Lord. All the beings in the Lord and Lord in all the beings. This yoga that you have told, O Madhusudana, is, I don't see its practicality. That is what Arjuna had told in 33rd Shloka. And then in 34th Shloka, he had once again brought out the same topic, the same doubt, with specific reference to the restless nature of the mind. And he had quoted all those 4 types of qualities that the mind possesses. The chanchala, pramatha, balavata, dhrudam. That the mind is so restless. The mind is so turbulent. The mind is so strong. It cannot be fixed on one place. And the mind is so very dhrudam. It is obstinate, most adamant. It doesn't obey my order. What to do, Krishna? Now here he had addressed Sri Krishna as Krishna. Oh Krishna, tell me how to do it. Controlling the mind and fixing it on the self is as difficult as controlling the turbulent wind. And Sri Krishna in 35th Shloka, he had, with most sympathetically, Sri Krishna had addressed this doubt of Arjuna. He said, asaṅyatātmanā mahabaho, O mighty arm. It is very much sure, it undoubtedly mind is extremely difficult to restrain. But O son of Kunti, with abhyasa and with vairagya, with practice and with dispassion, with practice and with renunciation, with non-attachment, the mind can very well be brought under control. That was the strong advice. That was the strongest hope that Sri Krishna gave. Asaṅyātātmanā mahabhavo. Yes, there is no doubt about it what you are saying, oh Arjuna. But with abhyasa and with vairagya, with practice and with non-attachment, the same strong mind, the same turbulent mind, the same chanchala mind, the same adamant mind that you are talking about can be brought under control, can be restrained and put to focus on the self. That is what Sri Krishna told us in the 35th shloka. In 36th shloka, again, Sri Krishna is telling us, asaṅyatātmanā yogo duṣhprāpa iti me matiḥ vaśhyātmanā tu yatatā śhakyo vāptum upāyataḥ. Sri Krishna says, further, consolidating to his hope-giving statement that it can be controlled with abhyasa and vairagya. Now Sri Krishna says, asaṅyatātmanā yogaha. Asaṅyatātmanā is a man of uncontrolled self. One who accepts that mind is uncontrollable and who does not make any effort using the abhyasa and the vairagya to bring the mind under control. For such a person, asaṅyatātmanā yogaha duṣhprāpa. For such a person with no control over mind, no control over self, yogaha duṣhprāpa iti me mataḥ. I am of the strong conviction. It is my strong conviction that for a person who is unable to restrain himself, yoga is impossible. Sri Krishna says there is no point arguing on that. Yoga is duṣhprāpa. It is just the duṣhprāpa is hard to attain, extremely difficult to attain. I also agree with this, what you are saying, oh Arjuna. So Krishna doesn't say, don't talk foolish, Arjuna. What you are saying doesn't have any substance in it. He's not saying, he says, yes, I also agree. Iti me mataḥ. Iti me matiḥ. That is my conviction. That is my opinion. I also concede that yoga is extremely difficult for the person who is not able to restrain his mind, restrain his self. asaṅyatātmanā yogaha duṣhprāpa iti me matiḥ vaśhyātmanā tu yatatā. Vaśhyātmanā is but by the self-controlled one, by the one who can control, restrain the mind, by the one who is who is capable of self-control. Vaśhyātmanā tu yatatā śhakyo vāptum upāyataḥ. That is, śhakya is possible, avāptum possible to obtain, upāyataḥ by proper means, by the right means. But the one who is able to control oneself, who is able to have self-restraint, for him, who strives by right means, who follows the right path, for him it is very much possible. It is not impossible for him. Śhakya. For him it is absolutely possible. Yoga is hard to attain, I concede. I agree. I also have this conviction that yoga is extremely difficult to attain by a man who cannot control himself. asaṅyatātmanā. Who is not able to control himself, for him attaining yoga is extremely difficult. I fully agree with whatever you are saying, O Arjuna. But it can be attained by him who has controlled himself, who has a self-restraint, and who strives by the right means, who is on the right path, who is following the moral path, who is following the good path, the Shreyasa. Who is following that path? For him, it is very much possible. It is absolutely possible to attain that state of dhyana, to attain that state of yoga, and have the realization, have the illumination, have the enlightenment of the self-knowledge, of seeing the self in all and all in self, of seeing Lord in all and knowing, realizing that everything is in the Lord. All this creation, all these living beings, they are part and parcel of the same Lord, of which I am also the part and parcel. We are all the same. That level of equanimity, that knowledge of equanimity, he can certainly attain. The man of self-control is he who either thinks wholesome thoughts or does not allow mentation of any kind taking place in himself. Always on the path of ethics. What is right? Discriminative person following on the right path. Krishna had told us earlier. Those two tools of the faculty of intellect, the discrimination and dispassion. Think what is right, what is wrong. Follow the right and throw away the wrong. Never even look at that wrong side of committing it or doing it. So follow the right means. So for such a person, self-control is very much possible. Once you discriminate and don't allow your mind to go in that direction. Once your intellect tells the mind you don't do it, and mind doesn't do it. That is going by the right way. That is abiding by the right means. That is what Sri Krishna is telling. Upāyataḥ. Vāptum. Upāyataḥ. Vāptum is to obtain by the right means. He strives by right means who applies himself steadily to practice and non-attachment. And again this comes by those two things Sri Krishna has told us in the previous shloka, abhyasena and vairagyena. We have to dedicatedly, with persistence, we have to get habituated with that. We have to put it in practice all the time. And the non-attachment. With these two, we can, with non-attachment and with constant practice, we can always follow the right path. And for the person who always follows the right path, Sri Krishna says, yoga is very much possible to attain. And on this particular shloka, Sri Ramakrishna's teaching, Sri Ramakrishna is giving his own example of how he made it possible during the time of his sadhana, during the time of his performing all those austerities for 12 long years. Sri Ramakrishna says, in those days, when I took to spiritual practices, I would first cleanse the mind of all earthly thoughts, make it as pure as purity itself, and then invoke the presence of the Lord in it. Now, Sri Ramakrishna is telling what he himself did to reach that stage of what Sri Krishna is telling of following the right path. Sri Ramakrishna says, I cleaned all the earthly thoughts from my mind. There was no room for any material thoughts. There was no room for any ordinary thoughts, any thought apart from the Divine Mother. There was no room for any such thoughts in the mind. I cleansed it of all the thoughts and made it as pure as purity itself. Pavitrata Swarupinye. That is what Sri Ramakrishna made his mind before starting all those sadhanas. And when that was possible, when he cleansed all the thoughts from his mind and only the one thought of Divine Mother in his mind, invoked the presence of the Lord in his mind. That was all that was required. And he attained to that ultimate truth. After all, he was incarnation for incarnations, but even incarnations have to perform these austerities. So Sri Krishna says that follow the right path as advised by Sri Ramakrishna here. And Sri Ramakrishna further says, may you also do the same. This is another clear-cut instruction he has given, Sri Ramakrishna, that remove all the unwanted thoughts from the mind, make it absolutely pure, the purity itself, and then invoke the presence of Lord in the mind. Once that happens, you have attained to the yoga. Then vaśhyātmanā tu yatatā śhakyo vāptum upāyataḥ. Then you have made it possible, having followed the right path, having followed the ethical path, the eternal path for that matter, having followed that eternal path, removing all unwanted things from the mind like Sri Ramakrishna has advised us, has taught us. Remove all unwanted. Only let there be room only for the Lord to enter, and that will only happen when there is nothing but purity inside. Purity itself. Make the whole seat the purest of the pure, and Lord will come and sit over there. Lord is already sitting there. Lord will reveal himself to us. So that is, Sri Krishna says that it is extremely difficult for a person who cannot restrain. He cannot attain yoga. I am also of the firm conviction. Iti me matiḥ. Sri Krishna says that I also exactly feel the same way what you are feeling, Arjuna. Don't think you are wrong. But then there is a way out. There is a way out for a person who follows the right path and persistently gets engaged in that abhyasa and vairagya. He performs the yoga. He gets into the act of doing this yoga dedicatedly, with all the dedication, with all the persistence, with all the perseverance, not 1 or 2 days, but constant practice, and with non-attachment to any of those sense objects. These two things, if he does, he can very well attain. So that was 36th shloka that Sri Krishna once again, he assured us. He has given the greatest of the assurances that it can be reached. It is not, and he knows for whom it is not possible. That also he has clearly mentioned. If somebody is like this, for them it is not possible at all. But do like this, and you cannot, the realization cannot escape you. Realization will be yours. The illumination will be yours. The yoga of equanimity, you will get established in it. That is for sure. And those are the words of assurance from none other than Sri Krishna himself. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami Ji.